welcome to Week 9 of the Daily Records High School Football Insider, the video edition. Alongside sports editor Aaron Dorksen, I'm Tex Plant, and Aaron, we're in Week 9 already, and we hate to see the football season go by so fast, but on the other hand, it's coming down to crunch time. Only a couple regular season games left as teams in the area are jockeying not only for league titles, but also for some playoff positioning.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Tex. If the season ended today, there'd be 5 teams in the playoffs, which is pretty good. 6th team is right on the bubble. Just to run down them real quick, Division 3, West Holmes is 2nd in their region. In Division 4, Region 13, Norwayne's 3rd, Northwestern's 5th. They just so happen to play in Week 10. Tuslaw's 9th. And then if you go to Division 5, Region 19, Loudonville and Hillsdale are right in the middle of that region. So that would be pretty exciting for those teams.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool to see Loudonville and Hillsdale, of course, are not too far from each other and play every year in the non-league portion of their schedules. And this year played a great game. And as far as league races go, in the OCC, Mansfield Senior continues to lead, unbeaten, but right behind them are West Holmes and Madison. Madison and Senior will play in Week 10, Aaron, and West Holmes will play this week a 2-win Worcester team, and then they end up with Clear Fork, which is yet to win an OCC game. So the Knights are just going to kind of sit back, watch, and see what Mansfield Senior does, and maybe they could end up with a piece of their first OCC crown. When we come back after this break, we're going to break down the big Hillsdale-Norwayne game right after this. And welcome back to the High School Football Insider. Aaron, tomorrow night, well, Friday night, we're filming this on Wednesday. You'll watch it on Thursday. So Friday night, for the 3rd straight season, Hillsdale and Norwayne will meet, this time out in Jeromesville, and it could determine a share of the WCAL. Again, the Falcons, of course, won a thriller that we saw in 2010. And then last year, Norwayne rallied in the final minute, defeated the Falcons, got a share of the crown with Hillsdale and Smithville, and we all know they went on to win the Division 4 state championship.
Yep, it's been a great series, Hillsdale and Norwayne, and every day since Norwayne won that state title last December 3rd, I would venture to say someone in this area has asked, can Norwayne do it again? And based on the way they've started, why not? Crunching some numbers, Norwayne is averaging a 51-9 scoring margin over the opposition as they've started 8-0. Last year's team, as it jumped out to 8-0, was 53-7. So that's practically the same thing. I was out at Norwayne to do a story on there, a trio of playmakers. John Zimmerly averaging 10.6 yards every run. You'd have to go back to Larry Zerker in the early 1960s, the last time a WCAL runner got a first down every time he handed the ball. How'd you like to be an offensive coordinator? If you want to take a break from Zimmerly, Brady Berger, 22 yards every catch. And Joe Dreyer, the first-year quarterback, is averaging almost 20 yards per completion. We're going to go now to some comments. I wanted to Norwayne and talk to that trio of playmakers.
I definitely can't do it by myself. The chemistry with Joe is good. I mean, it's him coming in this year. It definitely is different than not having Adam, but he definitely does a great job. And I can't do it without my line or my other receivers or my running back. If they expect to run, we can come at them with the pass, or any of our other receivers are great athletes, so can do anything.
What are the keys to how well the team's played so far?
The team itself, the skill can't do it on their own. It has to all start with the line, and they've done a fantastic job of stepping up for us this year. And then coming together as a team as a whole to have that chemistry and the interaction that just works so well together. And then obviously staying focused every week, going one game at a time, not overlooking anybody as you go through your season schedule is a huge part of it too.
There's a lot of pressure coming in this season, but with so much skill around me and our line being returning as many stars as we did, and sophomore Chris Scruggs stepping up to fill the hole at left guard, I felt like I had a really good chance to succeed in the role I was put in.
Well, Aaron got a chance to talk to the Norwayne Playmakers, and a couple of those guys we remember very well from last year. Their opponent Friday night, Hillsdale, has a lot of new faces this year, Aaron, that have really stepped up and filled roles. Sophomore running back Corbin Mager went over 1,000 yards last week. Wide receiver A.J. Flores only has 12 catches, Aaron. 6 of them have gone for touchdowns. And some familiar faces. Kevin Klein has been a mainstay on the Hillsdale defense for 3 years now. He's one of their top tacklers. The leading tackler, one of the leading tacklers in the area is Dylan Eberly. He's had a great season. And then it's hard to miss big 6'6" Ryan B., a two-way starter for the Falcons that really wreaks havoc as a defensive end. The thing about Hillsdale coming in this game, Aaron, they still have Wayne County Athletic League title hopes alive, even though they lost to Northwestern. And the great thing is, last year 9-1, they didn't get in the playoffs. This year, I think they can even afford another stumble and get in at 7-3.
Yeah, the numbers show that Hillsdale, even with several losses, can make the playoffs. It's funny how that works. So that should be a great matchup. Looking at the rest of the Wayne County League slate for this week, Rittman 1-7 is going to go to Northwestern 7-1. The Huskies will try to build momentum for next week's showdown with Norwayne. 1-7 Chippewa is at Smithville. They're 3-5. Waynedale 0-8 going to Dalton, hoping they can get their first win.
Yeah, and then that sets up Dalton and Smithville for Week 10. If they both win as expected this Friday, they'll both be going for 500 seasons next week in Week 10. Real quick on Northwestern, we've talked all the time about their big playmakers, Malachi Naledi, the quarterback, and Tyler Smith, the running back. You know, it's not just a two-man team, and Mike Toot has told us that repeatedly. And obviously at 7-1, you're not doing it with just two guys. You wrote a feature a couple of weeks ago on their small but very effective offensive line. And then you got their top tacklers, Zach Glazer and Brandon Locklear, both had great seasons. Northwestern scores a lot of points, and that's usually where the focus is, but their defense has really played pretty good too, Aaron.
Yeah. Well, let's shift gears and go to the Ohio Cardinal Conference. A nice double area matchup has Worcester 2-6 going to West Holmes 7-1. West Holmes is just about locked up a playoff spot already. Their first since 2000. Probably another win gets them at home for the playoffs. And as you mentioned, Mike, they'll be hoping maybe Mansfield Senior can slip up and they can get a piece of the OCC title.
And the other OCC matchup involving an area team, Clear Fork at 2-6, travels to 1-7 Orville, as the Red Riders will try again to get that first win on their new turf at Heartland Stadium. Both these teams are looking for their first OCC victory, Aaron, but I think for Orville, talking to Doug DeVault this week, he's pretty pleased with the attitude that his kids have maintained throughout a 7-game losing streak. And I think they can really build off of last week's defensive effort where they held Madison, believe it or not, to 9 offensive yards on 5 second-half possessions, came back and came up 2 points short in that game. But this is big for Orville, I think, Doc. If they can get their offense moving, create a little bit of momentum, and then we all know that their one-game season is next week when they come over to Fallis Field for a Saturday night clash with the Worcester Generals.
Yeah, I still have no idea who I'm picking in that one, Mike. I mean, both teams have shown a few good things, some bad things. So, anyways, we'll get to that in Week 10. But we also want to mention a couple other area matchups. Tusky Valley will be at Triway. Tuslaw will visit Indian Valley. Johnstown Northridge will visit Loudonville. I just want to comment on that Triway game last week at Manchester. Tony Lee said it was probably the hardest loss he's ever been around. For me, it was probably one of the hardest games to write. You know, you just feel bad in the way it ended, but Triway's still having a great season. They were 2-8 last year, and they can still finish 7-3, but probably out of the playoffs.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, you would hate to see that's 2 heartbreakers back-to-back for the Titans that may have taken them not only out of the playoffs but out of the Principal's Athletic Conference race. But you really have to tip your hat, or your cowboy hat in this case, to Tony Lee and the Titans for a big turnaround season, and they played some exciting football. And can't forget the Loudonville Redbirds, who won a big game last week and may have also cemented a playoff berth for themselves. As usual, Friday night will be all over Wayne County and Holmes County even, covering all the games. You can read about them in Saturdays at Daily Record Sports Extra. And we hope you join us again next week for Week 10 of the Daily Record's High School Football Insider. Thanks for joining us.